Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be doing a guide for the Nightfall this week, which is the PsiOps Battleground on the moon. For the modifiers, the important ones are the Overcharged Machine Gun, Void Surge, and Arc Surge, as well as, of course, always overcharged weapons, which for me that'll be my primary weapon, the Wish Ender. And then we're doing Barrier and Unstoppable. And here's the quick build. So as you can see, Wish Ender, Nezrek's Whisper, and Commemoration. On the Commemoration, I've got 4 times the charm for saving ammo and killing Tally for additional damage. And then on the Nezrek's Whisper, I'm running Genesis with adapted munitions. That helps with the Knights. There's Arc Knights in this particular Nightfall. And then, of course, the Wish Ender is going to be my anti-barrier, and the Nezrek's Whisper is going to be the Unstoppable champion. And as you can see, in my artifact, I'm running Unstoppable Glaive. I'm running the Authorized Mods Melee. Unto the Breach is important for the build. That'll allow me to get the Void Breaches, which will give me Devour and also Overshields through Protected Breach. And then Supernova helps just kind of kill things in the areas. I'm using my machine gun as pretty much like a primary. And then Squad Goals to spread Devour if I'm able to. And if you have specific weapons that use any of these abilities, Deeper Origin is just something that I use to kind of fill in order to get to the edges, to get to the Tier 5. Now from here I'm just going to go over the build itself pretty quickly. I'm running Graviton Forfeit, which is going to allow me to get my abilities back quicker and have my improved invisibility. And so while you're invisible, your melee recharges faster, you reload weapons faster, and you have increased recovery, so you get your health back quicker. How that feeds together is that I've got the 70 mobility with the ability, if I do pick up an orb, for it to be 100. So when I dodge, then from there, while I'm invisible, I'm going to be getting my melee fast after I've used it under the quick fall. So those are the two. I've got the Vanishing Step, which makes me invisible, and the quick fall, which makes me invisible. You quick fall, and then you wait for it to count down. Once it's almost done, then you can Vanishing Step, wait for it to count down, and you can actually do that pretty much permanently and stay invisible almost always. I'm running the Echo Starvation for Devour. I'm running the Echo Persistence to give me some additional time while I'm invisible. Echo of Obscurity, so when I get finishers on enemies, if I need to in a pinch, I can get invisibility. Also, I use that for when I'm finishing ghosts on the Hive Knights, the Hive Guardians that happen to show up. And then I'm using this for just 10 strength, that way I can fill out my build to get to that 100 strength. And it also helps to get volatile rounds. If I have volatile rounds and there's a barrier champion, I can actually shoot through the shields while I'm volatile as well. The additional items that I have are just for feeding my class abilities. So I've got Grenade Kickstart to get my grenade going. I've got Bolstering Detonation to help get my dodge. I've got the Momentum Transfer, so that way I get my melee, which is going to be the Quick Fall. That'll be additional as far as invisibility. Font of Agility. That's the one that allows me to get the additional ability from picking up orbs. And the Utility Quick Start, again, helps me get my dodge faster so I can loop them and have almost pretty much permanent dodging. Same thing with here. This is going to give me back my Quick Fall once I've used that while I dodge. So I almost always have dodge. I almost always have Quick Fall, as long as I'm timing it and not using them back to back, and I'm waiting enough time for my invisibility duration to fully expire before using the next one. I can pretty much stay invisible the whole time. Now, the weapons that I chose, the reason why I chose them is, of course, this is for Unstoppable, but it also has a really nice synergy with Genesis. Anytime I pop the shield, it can reload itself, and since I'm matching it, it's actually even more potent. Adapting munitions, just in case I'm using it for other shields, like the fire shields, for example, on the wizards, if I decided to pop them there. Usually I ended up using the Commemoration because it's got that additional bonus from Overcharge, or the Wish Ender from a distance. And I'm running a Major Spec so that I can do more damage to champions. Same thing here, Major Spec, more damage to champions. And then for bosses, I was using the Wish Ender on the bosses from safety. And that's pretty much the build. Again, 100 resilience, 70 mobility, which ends up being 100 when I pick up an orb, and 100 strength, so that way I can constantly loop and keep my invisibility going so that I can save teammates. And you're going to need it here. There's a lot of instant death scenarios, and even if you're one of the better players in the game and you just happen to stand somewhere where there's instant death, you're going to die. So there's a lot of that. Savathun's abilities are very potent. You could be around corners and she can kill you. If she hits you with a couple lightning balls will kill you. A Nova Bomb will disintegrate you as it's passing you, so if you happen to just be crossing side to side in the final room, she can Nova Bomb you. And I'll kind of go over the strategies that I use to stay safe and support my teammates so I can get this done this week. Alright, so dropping in, you're going to start out with a large group of enemies in front of you. You can open up with nades, Strand, if you have somebody running Strand to tangle everything. From here, you'll see here shortly what I was talking about, where there's just areas of death where if you just happen to be when the spam comes either from the knights or from any of the acolytes throwing their grenades, it just sometimes you just die, and it's really not a lot as far as skill goes or anything like that. It's just because the ads are spammy and the encounters like this. If you've got concussive dampener, that'll help. I was running arc resist and void resist. Void to try to stay alive from any of the unstoppable champions if they happen to get a couple shots in on me with their beam, and then arc because everything else is just spamming arc at you, including Savathun. As you can see there, I just happened to be standing next to a teammate who was drawing fire, and they drew it right to me, and I tried to dodge, and I ended up dodging where the other teammate's fire was being drawn. So one important thing is you want to try to kill the barrier knights before you kill the unstops, because the unstops will trigger the next section sometimes, and the barrier knights will go away, and then you won't get platinum. So that's the most important thing, is you just try to avoid killing the unstop before you kill the barrier. And you'll see later on I actually had to kind of sacrifice myself to make sure that that knight died to get as much damage in, just stand through the damage. If I would have hit even one more second, we wouldn't have got that knight. So we had a Strand person with us. It was actually good because it can stop the barrier in the tracks and then of course stun the barrier, so it gives us a little bit more time. But I was running a glaive, and with the glaive shield up, you should be able to also withstand a little bit of the barrier's attacks. As well as anything else. If you happen to be in a pinch and you need to get a res, you can use the glaive to res. I just use my invis. And so what I was trying to do here is I was just trying to keep the unstoppable stunned and fall back and let my teammates do a little bit of damage to it. But again, I was trying not to kill the unstop until I can get any barriers in the area. So right now I'm just looking for barriers and prioritizing knights. Knights are especially important in every phase because the knights are the ones that are going to kind of spam together and end up being the ones that are going to kill you off, is because 3 or 4 boomers will come in at once and just insta-kill you. Same thing with these light bearers and the ships. Like I said, a lot of insta-death stuff. The ships, I don't think you can disable. I had a teammate shoot at it a couple times and it didn't look like he was doing anything to it. But I think with the ships you just have to kind of like dodge them and stand there and take it. But those exploding orbs that it shoots out are like tracking, so it's pretty unfair. You just gotta deal with it though, and just try not to lose too many reses early on, or at least all get hit by the same, explosion and end up dying, all 3 of you, and starting over again. Fortunately, that didn't happen to us. I use my invis to kind of get out there and get the finish on the knight. But even that, sometimes, the enemies are already just shooting the area, and then all of a sudden you die. So as you can see there, like, there was almost 0 reaction time that I could have had from that ship. The bolt came so fast that when I went around the corner, it still killed me around the corner and then put my ghost back to where I was. So, just how it is sometimes. We kind of lucked out that one of those things did stop shooting when he shot it, but the other one was still going, and I tried to shoot the other one and it just kept shooting. The other one started shooting, so who knows if you can actually disable those things or not. You do get hit markers, but they just continue to shoot through there. Even though they were technically disabled, they started to shoot again shortly after, so maybe they regenerate. Now with the barrier knight, this is one of the situations where I was talking about where you gotta kill your barrier knight first, so I was just doing my best to get as much damage as I can out there, and I was actually throwing a nade out there so that way I get some nade kills and give me the volatile rounds, which I have 3 seconds on so far. That would have allowed me to shoot through the barrier shield without having to switch to Wishender, which is helpful. And then here with the knight, just trying to make sure I finish the knight, just hoping he doesn't turn on me and just hit me with the boomer and insta-kill me. And now I'm grabbing the heavy now. Grabbing orbs to get Devour going and trying to get my super back again. And again, I'm prioritizing the knights. Wishender does a great job against the knights too, because they will barrier up, and then your Wishender will pierce the barrier. Same thing if you're having the volatile rounds in there set up for anti-barrier. With the volatile rounds, you'll end up piercing their shields too whenever they showed up and try to regenerate. And it's very helpful. Just the explosions and everything was just spreading the deadfall super around. So that was an actual nice little section there. We had some good synergy. And this is the night that I was talking about how I didn't want to kill the Unstopped on the right, and they just nuked it with the super, which is not good. And so I had to stay out and try to do as much damage as I can to the Knight to try to kill it, and thankfully I think me and Fox ended up killing it before it disappeared, and I saw the Barrier Knight's points show up, so we were actually able to get Platinum because of that, but we might have lost Platinum had we not gotten that kill in the last second. Now from here we're using Wishender to pick at stuff from a distance, and it's still annoying because the Knights will take cover and they'll hide. As you can see here, one Knight's hiding while the other Knight's rushing us. Fortunately, Sly went over to the right side to start picking at that Knight so it couldn't stay alive, and then we were able to stun and prevent the other Knight from either killing one of us or burying up itself. And so just kind of annoying how the AI tactics are in those scenarios, especially when they get into like super fire mode and they're just spamming their boomer attack at you and nothing that you do can stun them. So just be ready for those scenarios, and if you're the one that's got the strand, just string them up. That way they can't do that. This room here, this is another point of failure. A lot of people get killed in this room in groups. And if you're spread out and you're able to survive kind of alone-ish on each of the sides, that's probably ideal, because you don't want to be in a situation where you get all the enemies focused on you, and then you've got like a Hive Guardian super coming in, or you've got a Ogre firing his beam all at the same time, you got an Unstop pushing you, you get hit with a Tribute Bearer from the side, these wizards with their arc attacks. So you just kind of want to spread out and try not to all die at the same time so one can get a res. And if you're able to run invis like I'm running invis, then that's also ideal, because you can run around and collect your teammates as they die off. And you want to also minimize the amount of times that they die too. So I was trying to cover my teammates as much as I could from the sides. You can see here I'm trying to pick at this Barrier Knight, but getting pushed by the Acolytes, and they do actually do a decent amount of damage. And then of course here comes an Unstop as well. I didn't have my super. If not, I would have popped my super and taken him out. But because of the teammate just dying, as you can see the teammate just died, I just say let me get out of there and let me bail on this teammate so that I can invisibly res the other teammate, and I used my super in order to clear so that way I could revive him and not have to be trying to stand in the wizard spamming its attack on the orb. Sometimes if an orb is there from somebody's ghost, it'll spam non-stop on the orb, and so I just make sure to clear that out so that way I didn't have to deal with that. But as you can see, with my invisibility, I can always stay invisible because I have still my dodge almost coming back, and I have already was able to use my quick fall, and now I've got my dodge back, and if I wait for those few seconds to go away, I'll end up dodging and then get my quick fall back quickly. Yeah, so as you can see, there's my quick fall. So I can basically stay invis the entire time, and it's important to have somebody like that in this, because you'll run into these situations like right now where like nobody can stay up. There's a lot going on at the same time. You've got the two champions. You've got your barrier champion and your unstoppable champion. And then there may be even another barrier champion over there that I didn't see come in because he killed it before it got over to us. But once you kill these champions, then you have to deal with the Shrieker spawn. And so that's another thing to deal with, is the Shrieker will spawn in the very center when you're doing this particular plate. And you just have to be ready for that. My teammate, I think, ends up getting killed by the Shrieker, and I have to come back and res him and then clear the Shrieker. And so with the tributes, essentially, if you're not familiar with the strike, if you're new to the game and you haven't played the strike, you're killing these wizards, and they're going to drop a small little mote. That mote, as you collect it, is going to be the burden of tribute, and you can collect more than one at a time. And then once you do collect them, you'll see that there's an arrow over the chalices. You just run it over to the chalice and you dunk it, and that'll increase the burdens of tribute reclaimed number on the left there under the Nightfall. So right now it's 1 of 12. I'm holding 2. I think I end up getting the third one and dunking it, and you'll see it go 4 of 12 from there. And now here, there's the Hive Guardian spawning. So the Hive Guardian, you don't want to engage it if you can in this situation by yourself, because then sometimes you end up dying because of the super, and then your teammate's dead, and then you're the one that's supposed to be the support, especially in my situation where I was pretty much doing the rezzing. So that's why I chose to just go invis and not even mess with it. In a normal PsiOps, whenever you dunk the chalice, it does a ton of damage and it'll wipe out most of the enemies. But because we're in Grandmaster, the enemies are so strong that the chalice explosion that happens just kind of stuns them. It doesn't really kill them, just basically tickles them. And they have a ton of health, so they're still going to be alive afterwards. And so right now, since we're at 7 of 12, we've got the 2 Guardians to deal with, one on each side. And we don't have any champions out just yet, but once we clear the Guardians and get some more tributes dunked, we're going to have another set of champions coming out, which should show up here in a moment. I have to kind of go and pick up Sly again. I don't know what was over here that took him out, but as you can see, he's in the text there, crying a little bit about his situation and how bad it is for Warlocks. Which I wouldn't run Strand as a Warlock, per se. If I was doing it myself, I would run Arc and then, you know, just have a bunch of mods that give me heals from orbs, picks up some stuff like that, and run around trying to live like that. But, you know, you can also run Void as well, and you can run a Devour build, similar to the build that I'm running on my Hunter. The only difference is that you're going to really focus on Devour, and that's going to be your main survival, is keeping your Devour up and killing all the small stuff, and just bailing, you know, stunning everything around you as best you can if you have champions around you, and bailing and getting safe and dropping a rift, and kind of allowing your Child of Old God, if you have that out there, to deal with stuff around you. As you can see, that's a perfect example of just instant death, because I dodged around the corner and he was already doing his beam, and no matter what, even if I was invisible, the beam still kind of AoE killed me around the corner, which can happen. And so as you can see, once I got up, I saw that there was 2 champions there, and I realized that me and him were the only ones alive, and I wasn't about to let myself get killed by those champions because I needed to be able to res. So I just bounced, and I got Fox, who can take care of himself. He's also running an invis build. And then I made sure to try to clear up the stuff around Sly the best I could, or at least get its attention. And there's another situation where the invis kind of saves you. That wizard immediately started locking onto me, even though I wasn't engaged with it. I was engaged with the middle section, and it still came from halfway across the map to try to kill me. And I was able to get another invisibly, so that's, to me, one of the strongest builds. You can have 3 invis builds as far as you're running triple hunters. But as long as you have the one hunter who can do the reses for you and stay back and kind of stay safe while still contributing, that's the ideal way to me to get this done. So here at this point I see that we're 8 of 12, and I'm just going to start focusing on trying to get these tribute bearers killed and dunking. But as you can see, the ads, once you start to kill a tribute bearer, they really focus you, so you just have to be ready to go invis the moment that you get the tribute bearer finishable. And you'll see that I get the invis myself because I have that in my build. If you don't have it in your build, of course you want to go invis after the finish, and try not to get in a situation like there where I was getting teamed up on by multiple ads. And so right now we are at 10 of 12, and there's just too many ads around. So I'm just trying to help my teammates clear in the center while staying alive and not getting killed. I believe I'm going to get one more dunk, and then my other teammate is going to be able to get the finish here. And right now I'm just kind of looking for tributes to collect. I tried to get this one here, but there was just too much stuff, so I had to bail, get my health back. And then it looks like Fox was able to finally get it in there and finish that. And so in the next section, once you get through here, you're going to come upon the 2 ogres. Those are going to actually both be unstops. And so what I did, and what you can do on your team, is to stay back and just pick at them. I was just kind of firing my glaive from a long distance, just trying to get a hit on them so that way they would get stunned, and then picking at them with Wishender. There's no need to push up if you get too far up as well. So keep in mind, you see the bridge set up here. Once you get past that section where you see like the 2 large pillars and 2 statues kind of holding a chain, the level will spawn a Shrieker behind you. So just kind of keep your head on a swivel. If you've got a teammate farther up, and turn around periodically to make sure that that Shrieker doesn't just get free shots at you from behind and wipe your team, because you just weren't expecting it to be there. Thankfully, I think Fox and I were on it. If I remember, Fox was the one that kept turning around with me and helping me out. Now once you finish this ogre here and you push up, you still want to stay back. You want to try to stay out of the range of the wizard's lightning abilities, because he'll have the lightning strike as far as like a lightning bolt that he sends at you, and then you'll have the area of effect lightning strike that he has. See, here's the Shrieker there, and if we weren't prepared for it, it could have easily killed one of us. And what I'm doing now, I'm just staying back and I'm trying to clear any acolytes that are standing still, and also pick at the boss. And this is one of those nightfalls that you don't want to rush it. If you get too ambitious and everybody gets killed all at the same time by an AoE or a couple of bad like series of events, like a moth coming in and taking half your health, and then the boss doing his attack, stuff like that, and you have to start over for a situation in which there's really no rush, there's like no timer, nothing's going to happen if you take your time here and just pick at the boss. So that's what we do. You don't even have to get him all the way down. I think you just get him to like maybe like a third, a little bit under a third of this first bar that you can see here, and then he'll end up getting trapped and teleported, and so you just go right into the Mindscape after that. Which is pretty much where the real fight begins. The Mindscape itself is basically the whole GM as far as difficulty goes, because that one, it forces you to come and get around Savathun, who again has these ridiculous attacks. You know, she'll have her lightning blast, which is much like the Light Blades boss, where she sends just like a stream of lightning at you, and if you get hit by 2 or 3 of them, depending on your resistances, you'll end up dying. And the most important one to dodge, though, is her lightning AoE, because she'll send out tendrils of lightning that'll track along the ground, kind of like a landfall from the Warlock super, which is pretty much what it is landfall that she's casting. It's just her version. And if you even get like touched by like the side of one of the lightnings, you don't even have to get hit by the lightning. You just have to be around it. It'll fry you instantly. Even with my resist, it still killed me in 1 shot. And I died because I was having to go and rescue one of the 2 of the guys that are down there. They were waiting for me, but I shot at them to let them know, like, hey, go ahead. This pillar that I'm on is kind of a safe spot. Like, Savathun can still attack you, and if you don't, move out of the way, all you do is just jump or dodge to move out of her stream. She can hit you and kill you still, but that boss there, the Korosek, will not be able to attack you from that distance. And you actually, since you have Wishender, you have a easy job of just picking at all the little stuff and protecting your teammates. So if I see something approaching them, I try to attack it and keep it from getting to them. If I see a moth heading to them, I'll try to pick at the moth. And then once I have all the enemies pretty much killed that could threaten my teammates, then I go back to doing damage to the boss. And I think they did a pretty good job, from what I remember seeing, of using their supers and helping like lower the boss's health quickly to kind of get us out of this phase quickly, where it's kind of got infinite spawning mobs around the boss. And the Deadfall super was very helpful, because you can see here I'm attacking the boss and it's helping me clear the ads around the boss. So that was a really good combination that I just happened to luck into, that I had another partner who was just random LFG that was running Deadfall and running an Invis build, while I was running Mobius to help clear champions and stuff like that. So the boss is in its super mode, and as you can see here, it's not able to do anything from that distance with me, and since it ended up walking back into the deadfall, it deactivated itself once it got suppressed. That was kind of funny. Now once you get the boss to its first bar, it will shield up and disappear, and then it's going to summon more adds, which again you want to prioritize the knights, because the knights are the ones that are going to team up on your teammates, and then Savathun will show up. Savathun's immune to any damage except for from the spear, the psychic spear that spawns on there, and then champions will spawn. It looks like we ended up getting one barrier knight and one ogre. And I was expecting to get a second wave of these in between, but we ended up just getting like a regular ogre, so I guess they changed that for the Nightfall to make it a little less oppressive. Because I remember pretty clearly in the season where this was the seasonal activity that you would get on the legendary mode, you would get 2 sets of champions. And so the knight got away from me, as you can see, and I just let it stay there. Started picking at the unstops that the unstop couldn't do any damage to my teammates that come around that corner. And then here I'm just focusing on trying to get the stun off from a distance and prevent it from getting too close to my teammates. And then I use my super there to try to get a little bit extra damage in, which it did help. Now, once I am done kind of picking at all the adds and all the adds are dead, I will go down there if I have to in order to help secure a res or pick up the staff. I ended up doing that here, I think, to save Sly, if I remember correctly, because Sly went to go get the staff and ended up getting killed. And then went to go down there and get the scepter myself too. So, as you'll see here, this is what I mean. We're here, I'm invis. Savathun has no clue that I'm here, and I'm just waiting for this super to stop. I res him and then immediately go invis again, and even though I'm invis, she's casting that at Sly, and it ends up killing me around the corner, and Sly happens to just get away from it because he used his teleport ability from the Synaptic Spear. If you're wondering how to do that teleport, you just hit your grenade button, and that'll allow you to get out. The other abilities are, I think, right click or right trigger, depending on if you're on a controller, will do your other ability, which is going to be the slam, and then just a regular a click or shoot will do the like the throw, and the throw does AoE damage, and it's pretty powerful, pretty potent. And so for me, in order to get back up onto the pillar, I didn't want to trust just my jump. So what I was doing was I was doing my damage and getting like ammo and stuff like that, and then I was grabbing the Synaptic Spear, and I was using the Synaptic Spear's teleport ability in order to get back up onto the platform that I was on quickly, because you'll see once you jump back to the rocks below the platform, it'll start giving you a death timer, and you have 4 seconds to get up. And if you don't have the mobility for it, or you just don't mantle, you'll end up getting stuck there. And so what I'll do is I'll jump across, get my 2 jumps from my triple jump out of the way and get enough height, and then I'll use my teleport ability to teleport me directly into the side of the platform. And then you'll notice that when I have the pillar, you get like a super jump, kind of like the floor is lava super jump. And you want to do that before she's dead, so that way the Synaptic Spear doesn't disappear. And then that'll put me right into the platform, and then from there I can use the super jump to get back on top and get ready for the next phase. I kind of cut it close there, though, as you can see. So from here, again, I'm picking off the knights first, because the knights are the most pesky to allow to group up on your teammates. And then anything that happens to go in their direction, because they were both on the left side, I'm just doing my best to pick at, just to make sure that they don't get killed by a random acolyte that gets behind them. There is a hiding spot there, as you can see where Sly is at. There's a little hole that you can like kind of hide in, and ads will come down there, but the boss will not really get down there. I did see that the boss does come to the front entrance, but as long as you stay a little further back, I don't think he can hit you with his lightning attack. Now, who knows if you allow him to get into his super, if he can throw a super down there, but as far as his regular lightning beam attack, he really can't hit you with it. Or she, you know, since it's a wizard, who knows? I think it's a she. when you have a teammate like that, though, and she's kind of hovering around there, it is a little bit difficult to kind of hit precise shots, because I was going for headshots, and like, even though my aim was directly on, like, it was still kind of going through him, because he would bob his head at the last, or she would bob her head at the last second, and so I just started hitting body shots, because it's like, you know, wishing her does enough, so whatever, just pick her with body shots, and when she stops moving, then go for headshots. And again, this is kind of one of those things where you're really running a marathon, you're not trying to run a race. The whole idea is to just do your best to not lose lives in this section so that you can save them for the Savathun section, which is where a lot of the insta-death stuff is. So as long as you control the knights that are around your teammates, if you're the one providing like Overwatch like I was, and picking at the boss, then you should have a pretty easy time in this phase. It's the middle phases that are the hardest when Savathun is out. And of course, now that we're done with that second bar, it's going to be 2 Savathuns, one on each side, and the Synaptic Spears will spawn on the right side, kind of where you see Fox Knight is, just right of him, and on the left side, they're all the way to the left there, to the left of Sly Cooper, and here come the additional boss bars, but this time it was just a Blistered Ogre, and there was no barrier, so that's why I was surprised. I was expecting a barrier champ and Unstoppable, but was not, so just had to deal with the 2 Savathuns. The reason why I didn't jump down right away to get this person's res is because I was worried that something would happen to Sly, and then I was like hoping that maybe Savathun didn't come over and like drop a lightning right on us and then ruin the run, so I just stayed up, and if Sly didn't go over there in enough time, I would have typed in team chat to him like, hey, can you get the res? But before I could do that, he started making his way over to the right to get the res, so I was like, okay, I'll just let him do his thing. And so as you can see, as they're moving back and forth, I'm just making sure to take out all the ads. And Fox finally realized that he was resurrected, so he's back in action. And so the goal that you should have if you are like talking with your teammates is to try to take out one side or the other, like don't split your damage between both Savathuns. Try to kind of focus on only one side, so that way when you're done you can pick up the Synaptic Spear that's on the safe side where there's no more Savathun projection, and you can lob those across at the other Savathun outside of the range of her abilities, and it'll make a big difference. I don't remember. I think I do have a situation. We do get into a situation here where both teammates end up dying, and I have to kind of go down there and kind of guess at when Savathun is doing her attacks. If you're in mic with your team, you can have somebody like say, "Hey, this is what she's doing. Like she's throwing lightning, the lightning attack, or she's doing the area lightning attack, or she's throwing a Nova Bomb." And so I happened to get the res off here, but unfortunately the res animation wasn't fast enough, and she hit another lightning set and got the kill. And so here I was just prepared to, if for whatever reason I started hearing her wind up a Nova Bomb, to fall back, because the Nova Bomb hits and then it grows a little bit, and it does that AoE, it disintegrate, and also a little bit of AoE in the dome. So what I did is I gave Cooper invis there, and I was hoping that he would get the hint, like, hey, I'm going to make you invis, go get the res, because, you know, I didn't want to be the one to die if something happened. I wanted to be able to go invis and get the res, so he did pick up on it, so, you know, props to him. And then I'm getting here the Synaptic Spear, and I'm getting back into my safe spot again, and just chunking at the Savathun that's over there on the left, with the shots that I have left, and then I'm going to just provide Overwatch again one more time for my teammates so that they can actually get this done. Like, if I knew the people and I knew that they were, you know, like strong gamers and trusted them not to die, I would have probably been down there chunking spears quickly and trying to just burn through that left Savathun. But because, again, I didn't know these two guys and we didn't have any communication, I was just making sure to hang back and provide them Overwatch like I'm doing here. And so we finally got the Savathun on the left pretty much dead. You can check the health, of course, as you can see there by zooming in. And this is what I was referring to with the abilities where she can still attack you from a distance. So I thought initially that I was safe here, and then all of a sudden I see her shooting the lightning at me, and I said, oh, let me just jump over that, and then jump to the side. So I was just using my triple jump to get elevation above it, and then as she adjusted, I adjusted to the left or to the right to make sure that I didn't end up dying frivolously and putting my teammates in a bad situation, because I don't know if they know how to get back up on top of the platform there, and then maybe they die trying to get to me. So hopefully, you know, you don't get yourself in that situation. But if somebody on your team also has wish enders, like if you're running like a pre-made and you're doing dual wish enders, then you'll have at least somebody coming back to that platform with you regularly to help with the wish ender, and they'll be pretty familiar with how to get back up there. And so here I am again, just playing it safe, just hanging back so where I can get out of Savathun's sight, but I can still hit her from this side. And if I do happen to get her attention and she tries to attack me, I can pretty much dodge it. Like you can see here, I actually do get attacked by her, so I just hop and dodge, and then I allow my teammates to get the final few shots in on her. And so this is pretty much like home run, home free from there, because once you get the two most difficult portions done, where you have the one Savathun that roams and you got the two Savathuns that stay on the sides, this is just burning the boss's health. I was taking it slow here. If not, I would have supered right away, like right here, because I was just trying to see if once you get to maybe half health on this bar, if there was anything new that they added, like an additional set of champions that we had to kill to make sure you get platinum. So I was just kind of picking at the boss and just not trying to kill the boss, but trying to get it to about half health to see what spawned. And then once I saw that, okay, the boss is half health, it's popped his super, there's no more champions spawning, nothing additional, I'm like, alright, I can use my super, and let me try to get a couple hits in on the boss, and, you know, just try to nuke the boss as quickly as I can. The boss ends up running away, annoyingly, and so I'm just kind of trying to pick at everything around the boss, picking at any of the dangerous ads like the knights, and just giving my teammates cover so that they can move up. Hopefully one of them would move up and pick at the boss on the left side. And so once I get a little bit of a line of sight, I'm still like focusing on clearing up the knight here to make sure my teammates don't die. I'm going to try to get some jump shots in, just trying to get that finish done. And then there she is. Now don't forget, you do have to get the orb still. So once I saw that Sly ended up going for it, I was like, nice. I didn't have to worry about just booking it out there to get that orb. And then once you get the orb, it teleports you back. You still have to collect the chests in order to finish out the encounter. And if you have any psychogenic intel, then it'll let you open the second one. I don't know that it actually like just gives it to you or not, because I feel like I had psychogenic intel that I just never deleted, but they look like they opened it too, so I imagine it probably just like lets you once per week, probably for free, get the psychogenic intel and open it. But other than that, that's pretty much it. The build guide's at the front, so this is just going to be the outro from here. And as you can see there, I'm just on my way of getting the PsiOps moon done, so I just need the 3 more to get the guild for the week. And since we still don't have the node, just got to do them in order until it comes up, until the node comes up. And I'm going to try to get out a video each week, so that way I can help you guys if you're running LFGs like me, get this knocked out, so that way you can get your guild done and get your guardian ranks completed. If you have any questions, of course, drop them in the comments for me, and I'd be glad to help you guys out. And if you have any additional like comments or anything that you thought like, hey, this worked for me, and you want to throw them down into the comments to help anybody else that comes along, that'd be great as well. Once again, I appreciate everybody that watches the video, especially watching it through to the end. That really helps me out. And you guys have a really good evening and a good rest of your week. And I'm probably going to drop another few videos, just like some lore videos later in the week, to kind of catch up on the season's lore and then the rest of the lore from this week. Nothing like the other video where I had some commentary. This is just going to be the story beats. So that way, if you happen to be out and about and you want to just check out what's going on in the Season of the Deep. If you haven't picked up the season, you want to see the story, I'll have that from week 3 on. And then next week, once we actually get the next fish unlocked so that I can get all 3 of the blades, I'll put out a guide on how to get the new scout, the new exotic scout, as well as some footage of me using it once I do actually use it and see if it's worth it. But this is worth it to try to knock out. The Bratic Osprey has some pretty cool combinations that you can see in the armory. So if you guys get any good rolls, let me know. Other than that, thanks very much for watching. I appreciate it.